for it by grabbing my Winning Over the Panel workbook. Shameless plug, I know. And because you read through that 17-page workbook, you know the most important part of preparing for your interview. It's you. You are the most important part of the interview process. You are the prize here. Yes, you're hoping to land the job. You're hoping that the interview will lead to an amazing career. But this job is potentially something you're going to be spending 10 to 12 hours a day doing, 3 to 4 days a week, not including overtime. And it's going to be tough, but it's worth it. And you should understand what you're getting into. One way to make sure you have a full picture of the department you're potentially going to be working for is asking the right questions at your interview. Yeah, that last part of your interview where they ask you if you have any questions for them, you should always have questions for them. A, it makes you look good in your interview. B, you need this information to help you, yes, you, to make a well-informed decision of if this department or this job in general is right for you. We need more dispatchers, yes, but we don't want people to be unhappy doing this job. And knowing what you're getting into is the first step in making sure it's a good fit for you. In this video, we're going to cover 5 questions you should be asking at your interview and why they are important to ask. For the full list of 10 questions you should ask during your interview, head to the raspydispatcher.com and grab that Winning Over the Panel workbook. Let's go ahead and get into these questions. What type of training is offered to new dispatchers and how long does the training last? This question is important for understanding and assessing your fit and preparation. Knowing the training process gives you a little peek into what to expect when you enter training, as well as making sure what you're signing up for is something you're willing to do. Training is long, it is tough. You will most likely be shuffled through different shifts, day shift, swing shift, and graveyard shift. And some people think that if they accept the job and then go in and tell them that they can't work a schedule, that department's going to work with them. They're not. They make you well aware of the scheduling requirements before entering this line of work. So understand that once you're hired and you say you cannot do the thing you said you could do in the beginning, they're not just going to change that schedule for you. Just doesn't work that way. Does your department have a peer support group? What resources are available for self-care? Self-care, mental health, wellness. I know these can all start to feel like buzzwords, especially today, but they are so important in general and especially in a career of a first responder. First responders historically utilize the sweep all the stuff under the rug method when dealing with the traumatic things they are exposed to. I want to be clear, it is not a matter of if, but when something triggers you in this line of work. That is something you need to understand going into this career from day one. I had a dispatcher on my podcast give advice for the aspiring dispatcher, and the advice she gave was get a therapist day one. We do not have to wait for all of the baggage, all the trauma to pile up in order to take care of ourselves. So having an understanding of how your department looks at, supports, and deals with these things for their first responders in their department is super helpful to figuring out if that department is the right fit for you. What is the call volume at your center? This question helps you figure out what kind of center you're walking into. It will be a long time before you are solo, fully trained, and expected to help offset the load of being understaffed. But knowing the realities of the numbers is important. And understanding the call volume of that agency can give you some insight into the workload you can expect as a dispatcher. How is staff performance measured? Understanding how performance is evaluated provides clarity on the standards and expectations set by the organization as a whole. Now, not everybody wants to climb the ladder, not everybody wants to be a supervisor, but if that is something that you see in your future, understanding this can help determine a route for promotional opportunities down the line. It's something that some people find value in and want to know early. Are shifts assigned in order of seniority? Understanding how shifts are assigned will give you some perspective on how you will be scheduled once you're off training. Now, while in training, I mentioned this earlier, you're likely going to bounce around between days, swing shift, and graveyard just so you can get a full picture and exposure to all different types of calls, call volumes, etc. But once you are 10-8, once you are put in service, once you are deemed a full-fledged dispatcher, how you are assigned your shift is important for folks to know. And understanding that when you're new to this line of work and you're at the bottom of that seniority list, sometimes you get stuck with the not so fun shifts depending on your lifestyle. So understanding that early is essential to having a successful career. So those are the 5 out of the 10 questions that I believe you should be asking during your interview. Now, some of these questions might not be important to you, so you don't have to ask all 5 or all 10. Just work through and look through that list and figure out which ones resonate with you, which ones you find value and importance in knowing, and bring them with you to your interview to ask them at the end or at appropriate times throughout the interview process. Thank you all for watching our video, 5 questions to ask at your panel interview. We have tons of other resources at theraspydispatcher.com, including our Winning Over the Panel workbook. So make sure to head over there to grab that today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our videos. Good luck in the rest of your process and stay raspy.